a yoga for back pain class. So I recently found out amongst all of this that I have an old injury that I just thought was, my back going out, but it was actually a bulging disc. So I've been having a lot of journeys in my back, and I just wanted to pass on the information. And I feel like it'll be really helpful. And if you live with back pain or you deal with people that have back pain, it's going to be really helpful for even just pelvic asymmetries. It's going to be really helpful for our backs. Participate in a lot more than we think of, and what the primary focus is moving the actual spine and the muscles that move the spine. So we have these muscles called the multifidi that run up and down the spine. And what we tend to do is use these bigger muscles, the erectors on the side, that really yank the spine in one direction or the other. And I'm trying to get into with the muscles that are actually on the spine, which is more of a gentle movement. I relate it to kind of swimming through the deep end and really just kind of feeling the water around you. So trying to be easeful with our movements, and in that way, getting in touch with a different stability in our bodies. So if you have block, blanket, a ball, a tennis ball will work as well, or a squishy T-ball, a strap we're gonna need. Let's start on all fours with a blanket under our knees. I like to cushion my joints because I have very protruding joints, so it's helpful to cushion. So more cushion the better. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. I like to tuck my toes so I can press through my heels. Inhale to lift the tailbone and start to drop one vertebra at a time down towards the floor, maybe letting the heart go past the hands. Already getting into that gentle movement. Exhale, just the spine. So forget that you have hands and knees, or even hips and shoulders, and move sweetly through the spine here. Inhale, tuck the toes, lift the tailbone to start to sweetly surrender the spine down. Let the heart go forward, past the hands. Exhale, lifting the spine and letting the hips just kind of slightly lean back. So get a little involved in the shoulders as well. Inhale into a neutral spine, so a tabletop. Tuck the toes and cinch in around the waist. And then as you exhale, we're gonna walk our hands over to the right through that tabletop for a lateral stretch. Already getting in touch with that midsection there. Some shoulder mobility. Inhale the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling so they come together and forward towards the ears. Exhale down towards the floor so they move away from each other and back towards the tailbone. Inhale up and forward, just letting the shoulders move across the back. Exhale down and back. One more of those. Inhale up and forward. Exhale down and back. Inhale back through center, clawing at the floor, lengthening through the spine. Exhale over to the left. So you only go as far as your side body wants you to go. Each side should be deliciously different. Inhale the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling and back towards the tailbone, so reversing it. Exhale down towards the floor and forward towards the ears. Inhale up and back. Maybe it could be one smooth circle. Exhale down and forward. Can't really tell where one motion ends and one begins. Inhale up and back. Exhale down and forward. And then inhale, we'll come on back to center. And then exhale, let's drop onto our elbows. Continuing on the Sideburn Stretch, I'm gonna touch my left ear with my left hand. And as I exhale, I'm gonna walk that over to my right, only as far as my side body wants. Once I find that good spot, I'm gonna drop my head. I'll grab that left elbow with my right hand. And I wanna think about traction here in two different directions. So left elbow going down and forward, away from the torso, and then in towards the head as well. And then my hips, the right hip's gonna move towards the right armpit. So I'm making like a crescent moon shape with my body, elbow reaching upward, hip reaching downward. And I'm gonna traction all of that slightly back towards my heels. So I get a little conversation started with that latissimus dorsi, wrapping up on the side body. Could build some heat, especially if you've never stretched it before. It's a lat isolator. It's really hard to isolate the lat for a stretch, even for a lengthen as well. Inhale back to center. And this time we'll touch the right ear with the right hand and exhale over to your left. Only as far as the side body claims to need to go. Drop the head, grab the right elbow with the left hand, reach down and forward through that right elbow and also in towards the head. And then we'll reach the left hip towards the left armpit. So you're creating a crescent moon shape. And I'm gonna reach the whole body back. As I reach forward through that elbow, my hips are tractioning back towards my sit bones. or towards my heels, I mean. Trying to be gentle and not yanking or pulling. We're trying to soften right at the belly of the muscle there. I always relate my body to, you know, if I was a man trying to woo a woman and I want them to call me back, I don't want to be too aggressive, too much too soon. Inhale back to center. Take your time wooing your body and getting to know it. Come back onto hands and knees. And we're going to transition onto our back for a little hamstring sequence. There's lots of hamstring sequences out there. This one's one of my favorites because it gets me in tune with my nervous system, which is really difficult. This is why I love yoga, because we work with the nervous system, and the nervous system controls and calibrates every function in the body. So if you heal the nervous system will heal the body, and this is the science of yoga. So I'm going to grab a strap, and I want to shorten it so that it's long enough that it will loop around my foot and then around the base of my skull. And I want to be able to just completely drop all of my weight into the strap. So I don't want to feel like I'm pushing my head back. I just want to feel like I'm relaxing my head. My foot has my head, and my head is stopping my foot from falling onto the ground, right? So we'll loop the strap around the right foot if you haven't already. If you're already on the left side, just stay there. You can just do the opposite side. If it's too confusing, just do the same side I'm doing. You can straighten out both legs if that's okay. What I don't want you to do is have a shaky, quivering leg in the strap right now. We're in deep hamstring. That doesn't have that much blood flow because it's mostly connective tissue. So no shakies right here with the straight leg. What I do want to do is if I can reach, especially with the bent knee on the other side, then I can massage the back of my leg, which I love to do. So again, I'm trying to get past this feeling of stretching my hamstring. That's not what this is about. This is about softening all of the muscles around the nerves that run up the back side of the leg. So specifically right now, we're talking about the sciatic nerve, trailing all the way to the back of my head here, down the back, around the back of my leg, down to my heel. And a lot of people with sciatica issues, some of the time in my experience, it's been piriformis syndrome. People have been told it's sciatica, so it's nice when it's piriformis syndrome because that's an easy thing. You just open up the external hip rotators and it tends to go away. But if you're like me, you have a bulging disc type of situation, the sciatica is, it's going to stay until, you know, your disc scars over or whatever you have going on gets worked out. So I'm trying to soften all of my muscles so that the nerves get freed up and they can actually glide, because I am pulling the slack of this at the moment with this strap. So it should be relaxing. That's the intention there. All right, so we're going to grab this strap with both hands and carefully set your head down. And now we're going to get into superficial hamstring. So what I need to do is bend my knee, tummy to thigh. That's the first step. I want my heel to be above my knee. I don't want a closed knee going on. I'm trying to open my leg to a greater angle without straining my hamstrings. So preferably ankle above the knee, and anything further from there is great, but what I want is that contact with tummy to thigh. And here, reverse of deep hamstring, which we don't want shakies. Superficial, we want shakies. Anywhere where the leg is going to be shaking, this is the place to do it, because superficial hamstring, it's right on the surface of the leg, so it's got lots of blood flow, and the recovery is great. So if you're sore in your hamstrings for 3 days or more, you overdid it with your hamstrings. You did way too much, and I'm sure a lot of you, run and cycle and do a lot of things, so you know what it is to be sore in your hamstrings for 3 days or more. That's because you were yanking on those deep hamstrings. Superficial has more blood flow, the recovery is much quicker. So if you learn just the balance of deep versus superficial, especially in the hamstrings, you'll have some happier legs for sure. And you'll still feel sore, just not in that kind of way that reminds you with every step that you take and every time you step off a curb and sit down type of thing. So trying to relax through the shoulders here as we do this, softening the jaw, softening the tongue, maybe peel it off the roof of your mouth. And then we're going to take the strap into the right hand if it's not already. Left hand down onto the left leg so that the left hip bone stays on the mat. As you exhale, I'm going to keep that knee bent. I'm going to externally rotate. So right leg goes out to the right side. Without shifting off of my left hip, I don't want to wobble off of that left hip. Think about standing up on the ground. So stand into your whole left leg. Somewhere around your rib cage, the bottom of your rib cage, from there, stand into your left foot. You can even flex your left foot. Meanwhile, if I'm strong on the left leg, the right leg will softly start to open because I need it to be passive if it's going to let go. I can't be strong in all directions. It's physics. So where there's strength, there's weakness, right? Where there's activation, there's relaxation. So find activation in your left leg so that the right leg can just passively kind of get like this yin restorative thing going on through the stability of your left side. And of course, grounding down the kidneys, softening the shoulders, maybe letting a smile sneak up on your face somewhere. And the next time you inhale, we're going to put a little bend in that knee so we can bring it back upright. Take the strap into your left hand, and we're going to take the right leg all the way over to the left for a twist here. Then I want you to check in that your hips are in line with your shoulders and your ankles. So I usually have to scooch my shoulders over to the left to touch. So I'm right in line with my hip and my ankle. And then if you don't know the trick to this one, you're going to want to get your mitten hands or Barbie holding a mic there, a little C shape with your hand. You're going to hook the outer hip and move that hip down and away from your right armpit. And keep that right hip moving down as the right foot goes up. So if we're talking about arms on the clock, your hip is going down towards 6 o'clock and your foot is going up towards 12 o'clock. Like a seesaw, right? If the hip goes down, the foot has to come up. And then think about coming out of the twist so that you find the opposite oblique. Usually we just wail on that one side of the oblique when we twist. Think about coming out so that this idea of space manifests between the vertebrae. And then think about keeping that concept of space, not feeling it, but keeping it so you can drink in that spaciousness. And notice how it feels to create space and not necessarily fill it right away. It's definitely a theme in my life right now. Not having to fill things, just being okay with not having things. And also, you just don't really realize how much you don't need every day until you don't have anything except what you need. And then you're like, I don't really use anything but what I need usually now that I think about it. So it's a funny thing. Next time you inhale, we're going to come back up. So a little bend in the knee to come back upright. And we're going to play some piano down that leg again, or guitar. I like to squeeze as well, especially below the knee and above the knees where the attachments are to hamstrings and calves, IT bands. So the legs love to be massaged and squeezed, and the connective tissue really responds to that as well. Getting your muscles to soften, that's the whole idea here. All right, so we're going to release the strap off the foot. We're going to bring your first 2 fingers onto your kneecap. I'm going to bend our knee, so it's about 90 degrees coming out of the hip socket. You want to keep that femur stacked above that hip socket and don't let it move side to side. Drop your kidneys down towards the ground. Think about lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling and relax through the shoulders here. Keep the length in your spine, and as you inhale, you're going to internally rotate that right leg. So that means your heel is going to spit out to the right without moving your leg to the left or to the right. So your fingers are there to keep that pole where it is in space. And then take that right hip and move it down, because when we turn the right leg in, the hip wants to go up, wants to catch a free ride. See if you can keep the hips level as you spit the heel out to the right, and just find a space right before cramping. Right? Find a place where you're going to cramp and then back off sweetly from there, and keep driving your kidneys down towards the ground and lengthening through the spine. And then exhale, we're going to externally rotate. So be mindful that the leg stays in space, and we're going to turn it out nice and slow, flexing the right foot. And this should be like a one-legged king pigeon. So knee is moving away from me, foot is moving towards my face, dropping the kidneys down towards the ground as I cinch in around the waist. So there's space between each vertebra, like helium. And again, trying to find that place where I'm just about to cramp, but I'm not gonna. Let's relax the hands down by the side. We're gonna bring our left knee to meet our right ankle in space. Same action. I'm just gonna give it a little bit more here. So knee moving away from me, foot trying to move towards me. It's not because the left leg is drawing it in. I'm literally trying to pick up my right ankle off of my left thigh by externally rotating my hip. That same action we were just doing. Use those muscles. And then as you exhale, let's set the left foot down. Take an inhale here. You're gonna keep your right foot up in space. As you exhale, your legs are going to drop over to the left onto the ground with the right foot hovering in space. And then as you exhale, we're going to externally rotate that right hip. So same action we're just doing. It's all one-legged king pigeon. It's all trying to get in touch with the strength of the hip socket, your actual capacity. Knee wants to touch the arch of your left foot. Right foot wants to lift up off of my left thigh. This is not from my knee or from my ankle. This is from my right hip. All the way up from my right hip, this is coming from. And then I'm going to drop my kidneys down towards the ground, try to root my pubic bone towards my face, and you'll feel a little something in the left iliacus and psoas, the left adductor. Take only as much as you need. Remember to back off. Yoga is about finding a step above not doing it. And anything more than that, it's just variables for what your body needs. But all we need is a step above not doing it. Inhale, come on up. And exhale, thread the needle. So anywhere passive, I can grab onto both legs. I could grab onto just the left leg or the front of the shin bone, but I just want to soften into those external rotators now. I'm going to keep my right foot flexed, and I'm going to keep my right hip engaged. Again, a step above not reaching. So I'm still reaching my right hip into the ground, just a step above not reaching, so that I don't hurt my kneecap. Soften the shoulders off of your back onto the ground. And next time you exhale, we'll release the legs down. Uncross the legs, feet hip width apart for windshield wipers. If it's okay, arms can come up above you onto the ground. And we're just gonna take a couple rounds to each side. So taking about 2 windshield wipers to each side. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And finding some traction on the side body as you do so. And just trying to create some space between the ribs and the pelvis and noticing how much your back helps you, how tight the psoas is, the front hip flexors. And then we're going to find the opposite side. So I'm going to take my strap, and I'm going to loop it around the ball of my left foot, and then loop it around the back of my head. Each leg is different, so allow yourself to loosen and tighten as you need. I just tend to move the middle buckle away from any body parts. Both legs can be straight or keep the right leg bent. Anything to not make the left leg shake. So remember, no shakies here. But what I do want to do is play some piano. Massage the back of my leg. And again, the idea is for my muscles to soften. So if they feel like brick walls, maybe you need to put a little bend in your knee. Maybe you have to soften your ankle and every toe. Just get in there and have a conversation with your muscles. How do I get you to soften? So that I can feel my nerves and not my muscles. When muscles are contracted, they're like brick walls. But when they soften, they're like hair fibers. So that's why we call them guitar strings, you know. We have really healthy muscles that are not, melted together, glued together from the connective tissue, growing all that fuzz. They're very healthy guitar strings, and you can feel that they separate. But amazingly, in an instant, when the muscles need to contract, they are brick walls, and nothing is going to penetrate those bad boys. Couple more rounds of breath here, relaxing through the shoulders. Let the shoulder blades fall off of your back. It's funny how gravity weighs everything down, but certain things still levitate upwards. Just noticing that. Checking in that the hips are level with each other as well. You want the left hip in your armpit. We're going to remove the strap off of the head, release the head down. And we're going to go for a bent knee, superficial hamstring. So tummy to thigh is a feeling, heel above the knee. I just don't want a closed knee. I want the foot to fall somewhere towards the top of my mat. And then playing piano here as well, softening through the shoulders, leveling off through the hips. And this idea of space between each vertebra is so important because that lightness is what's going to help my muscles soften. Because if I go too hard, too strong, then my muscles are not going to soften. My nervous system believes I am in fight or flight right now. That is the energy that you're giving it. So try to soften your breath, try to soften your muscles, try to soften into your intensity. If you're being hard on yourself, just soften into all of that. Because my body's going to do what I'm doing in my mind and how I feel. Try to get in there and rewire that conversation. Just have that familiar conversation in a different way. Today's the day. You don't have to wait till everything's gone to start today. Shakies are encouraged here. If the leg's gonna shake, it's gonna be here. Hopefully you can notice the difference one side to the other. Which one's your tighter leg, which one's your looser leg? Usually the tighter leg is the shorter leg, the looser leg is the longer leg. Strap into your left hand, right arm grounding down to the whole right side. And as you exhale, we're gonna slowly turn the leg out to the left. So I'm trying to stay grounded through the right side so that my right hip bone never comes off of the mat. The leg will go towards straight eventually, but if when I straighten the leg, my right hip comes off of the ground, the biggest advice I give to my students is elbows bent, knees bent. They don't have to be dramatically bent, but they're always gonna be this little bend in my knees. Otherwise, I don't have access to my hips and I don't have access to my shoulders. That's the only way I can manipulate these positions in my body. Otherwise, visualize like sticks in a potato, when you're making a potato head, man. That's essentially what it is, like no bends in the knees or the elbows. And we need to access those bends so that we have access to the shoulders and to the hips. So again, standing into that right leg from the bottom of your rib cage all the way down to the right leg so that the left leg can be passive. Again, that's where that knee bend helps. It makes it passive, it makes it more manipulative. Tissues soften. It's just a different experience, even for my nervous system, just a completely different experience. And different doesn't mean that it's easy, yeah? It's, everything's tedious in its own way. As you inhale, let's come on back up. We're gonna take the strap into the right hand, and as you exhale, we're gonna cross that right leg across the body, over to the right. And I'm gonna shift my shoulders over to the right as well, so that I stay in line with my hips and my ankles. And then your left hand, like Barbie holding a mic or mitten hands, I'm gonna take my left hand like a C around my left hip and move that left hip down away from the left armpit. And if you've got too much sensation going on in your hips, remember that you can bend your knee. And you're gonna hear that a lot from me. Bend your knees, bend your elbows. Think about coming out of the twist so that you access your opposite oblique. It gives you length, and it also, funny enough, helps you twist deeper. But I'm only twisting from my shoulders, and I'm trying to keep the belly button and the shoulders kind of close together because I don't, my lumbar doesn't twist around in that section of my spine. My twisting should come from my thoracic spine, my shoulders, right from those rotatories. That's why they got that name, rotatories, because they help rotate the torso. 2 more breaths here. Keep working that left hip down, and that right foot will come up. If that seesaw goes down on the opposite side, it's going to go up on the opposite as well. Soften shoulders, soften jaw. Should not be an easy sequence. You're buying your hips dimmer. It's like the jaws of life. Inhale, come on back up. Little bend in your knee to bring it back up. It's going to help me move more easily, those little bends. And I'm going to play some piano here. Right leg straight or not, but definitely no shakies going on in that left leg. Again, just trying to soften the tissues. I went for a roller coaster ride just now. I also want to feel, did I get some more length in my hamstring from taking my leg open and then crossing it across the torso? That my hamstrings lengthening and the length of my back doesn't necessarily just come from lengthening my hamstrings, but getting in touch with the adductors, the inner thighs, the external rotators, the outer thighs and hips. The only thing we're not really having a conversation with here are the quadriceps, and that's because it's the front line of the body. We're going to remove the strap, your 2 first fingers on the left hand to your left kneecap, left knee 90 degrees straight out of the hip socket, kidneys ground down, spine grows nice and long. As you inhale, we're gonna turn that left leg bone in. So your heel goes to the left. We're gonna move that left hip down so that it squares off with the right hip, and then it's just isolated to that rotation of the left leg. It's fun cramping time, so just don't take yourself to that point of cramping, back off a little bit. And if that means it's a millimeter into it, you start where you start. Bruce Lee started with 1 pull-up, and then it turned to 2, then to 3, then to 4, and the rest is history, yeah? As you exhale, external rotation. Knee stays in line with that femur. Flex the foot so you don't bend into the knee, and think of it like one-legged king pigeon, Ekapada Raja Kapotthasana. I'm trying to externally rotate the left hip, trying to push the left hip into the ground, and the foot as a result wants to come up towards my face. Dropping your kidneys down, lengthening through the spine. That's what makes it hard. It's really hard to be long in the spine. It's much easier to go gung-ho and give it all that you got than to find this Switzerland type of coexisting between relaxed and contracted, right? Effortless effort, I'm sure you hear in yoga all the time. Right knee to left ankle, drop your arms to the side, same action, externally rotating the left hip. So take a break when you need to. This is some tough functional range conditioning for the joints. It's great for strength, but it's exhausting, and it's meant to be exhausting. Kidneys down, lengthen through the spine, and trying to just hover that tailbone as you try to take the knee away from you and your foot towards you. Relax the shoulders, let them fall off of your back, and as you exhale, we're going to set the foot down. Take an inhale there. Remember that we're going to keep the left foot in the air. As you exhale, we're going to drop the legs over to the right. Left foot still in the air. As you exhale, left knee is going to start to make its way towards the right foot. So external rotation of my left hip. My left ankle is trying to come off of my right thigh, and my left knee is trying to ground down towards the right foot. And I'm going to add the right iliacus and psoas by dropping my kidneys down towards the ground. I'm going to find my right adductor along with my iliacus and my psoas. Pretty dynamic pose, not meant to be passive at all. Keep that kneecap safe by the left foot staying flexed and only using your hip here. Don't go beyond your capacity. Inhale, come on back up, and exhale, thread the needle. A passive release for your hips. Softening the shoulder blades so they want to fall off of your back towards the floor. Softening the muscles of your face. Everything's soft except for that left hip, making sweet contact by externally rotating. Just a step above not doing it. And the left ankle flex so that you protect the left knee from bending in the direction it does not bend in. And next time you exhale, set the foot down, uncross left from right, and some windshield wipers again. Feet as wide as your mat. This time we're gonna let the windshield wipe all the way towards straight legs. So as they go over to one side, I exhale. And when I inhale up, I just kind of wiggle the feet away a little bit and exhale. Legs into the opposite direction. They come up and wiggle away. Just keep doing that side to side until the legs go towards straight. Finding traction on the side body the whole way. And then once the legs go straight, just kind of shake them out. And we'll bend the knees and roll over to the right hand side, press ourselves up. We're going to be in all fours, just going to move just a tad. And then get onto a side body stretch. So skip this if you don't need any movement, that's too much. Just skip it. Inhale into a cow, you lift the tailbone and drop the spine. Exhale, lifting the spine and just dropping the head, tops of the feet can push into the ground, just moving the spine now. One more of those, inhale. So move slower, just move the spine. Exhale, just the spine lifts. Just the sweetest little Halloween cat. Inhale into a neutral spine, and we'll walk the hands back towards the knees. All right, so a little bit for the hips here. We're going to make our way to a downward facing dog in a second. So we can remove the, well, actually just keep the blanket there. We'll go for a little lunge after. So hands close to the knees. What I'm going to do is pick up one knee at a time or both knees simultaneously. My heels can stay lifted. If I can, I ground them down. And then I'm going to come forward and set my knees down. Inhale, lifts the knees up, sets my feet down. I can turn into a little malasana if you've got it there. Exhale, knees come down. A little mobility for the hips. One more. Inhale, heels come down, knees lift up. Exhale, knees down. Stretch your arms forward, please, towards the front of your mat. So we're going to transition to a downward facing dog. From a child's pose, my favorite way to transition. So from here, same action. Ground down through the hands there, elbows slightly bent so you can reach down and forward through those elbows. Shoulder blades will ground on the back. And I'm going to lift my knees off of the mat. And I'm going to lift my hips up so my tummy stays glued to my thighs. And maybe the spine stays glued to the thighs. Maybe my hamstrings are so long that they just straighten from there. But what I'm trying to do is find a nice long spine, and tummy to thigh is going to give me that nice long spine and also that cat pose, which if you're one of my students on here, you know how I'm always talking about the cat pose. Can't find it in the air, you got to take it with you. Inhale, let's come forward into a plank pose. Lower the knees or not. As you exhale, we're going to lift the elbows, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale into a cobra or an upward facing dog, if you've got it already. Exhale, back onto the belly. Tuck the toes. Inhale, peel yourself up and back into a child's pose. Find the length in your spine. Inhale forward, all fours. Take the heart past the hands. And then exhale, cat pose leads downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up, please, ekapada. Exhale, come forward, plank pose, cat pose to slowly lower your left knee down. Inhale, spinal balancing, left arm will float up. Keep it down if it's too much, but really rotate that right leg bone in and really puff up your kidneys. So the right foot is going to be lower than you need. Exhale the left hand down. Inhale, right arm up, right leg up. So a little half moon variation through Shavasana. Again, rotating that right leg bone in. Exhale, elbow to knee, cat pose. Curl up like a little cat. And then inhale, plant for a lunge. Drop the right hip down, bring the left hip up, and inhale, find your way up. So squaring off through the hips here. Don't be on a tightrope, give yourself some space. Root the pubic bone and cinch in around the waist. Keep your right arm on your right thigh. Inhale that left arm up and exhale, lateral stretch to your right. I can dig both legs down and back to dive deeper. I just don't want to dump my tummy onto my thigh. Think about Michael Jackson and the pelvis there. Root the pubic bone up towards your face and peel the belly away from your thighs. Just having a little hello conversation with the psoas on the left side. So only take what you need. Don't agitate an already emotional, sensitive muscle in our body there. Inhale back up. Exhale, windmill fan the foot. Left hand down, inhale, side plank. Right leg goes to the back of the mat. Little half moon variation with the right arm up. And then exhale, all fours. Stretch back into a child's pose. Exhale, lift the knees, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Maybe you stay with the knees bent and the spine long. Maybe the legs go towards straight. Wherever you are, left leg floats up, please, ekapada. Exhale, float forward, plank pose, and then slowly lower that right knee down. Modify as you need to. Inhale, right arm floats up, spinal balancing. Rotate that left leg bone in, puff up your kidneys. So it makes your left leg lower than we want, but it's much better for our backs here. As you exhale, drop the right hand down, and then we'll inhale that left arm up to the sky. A little half moon variation. Ardha Chandrasana through a side plank, Shavasana. Exhale, elbow to knee, cat pose. Inhale, planted for a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Hip width apart there, left hip down, right hip up. Inhale, find your way up. Whether you use your thigh or just float it up. Keep the left hand on your thigh. Inhale that right arm up to the sky. Exhale, lateral stretch to your left. So I'm trying to turn the torso just the slightest to the right. Digging the heels, left heel down and back, right knee down and back without jumping the tummy towards the thigh. If my head is too heavy, I always have the option of bending my elbow, catching my head. And what I want to do is reach through the elbow, whether my arm is straight or not, the elbow is reaching always in this direction of down and forward. So the shoulder blade grounds onto your rib cage. I call it the hand of the shoulder blade. And then imagine a sponge between the hand and the rib cage, and you're trying to scrub a floor. So you need some elbow grease. Push the shoulder blade into the ground, into the rib cage. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, windmill. Frame the foot. Right hand under the right shoulder. Next time you inhale, side plank. Right, or left leg rotates in, rib cage rotates towards the ceiling. And then exhale, all floors. Nice to move. Hopefully you felt some differences there. Move your blanket out to the side, and we're gonna recruit our teal ball now. So I prefer if you never tried the recovery rounds from RAD, my teacher made some really wicked balls, and we couldn't find the right texture, so she had somebody make the right texture, and these are great. I mean, I live on these guys for hours a day, every day. But if you have a tennis ball, that might work. Honestly, it might deflate a little bit, but a squishy T-ball is the next closest thing to this, and they're $1.50, just so you know, squishy T-balls. They're still not this ball, but it'll do. So what we're going to work on is QL, but mostly multifidi. And we want to be mindful of the multifidi because, again, it's the muscles of the spine. And what I want you to just be very clear is that we're not going to lay our spine on this ball. We're not going to lay on the ball. So if you look, I'm going to get really close to this if you want to look up out of your mat space right now. So these are the QLs. So think about the hip bone being here and the spine being here. This is where the ball's going to start. So I'm not on my spine, and I'm not on my hip bone, and I'm not on my ribs. But from here, we're just going to roll a little bit close to pretty much next to that dip, next to the erectors on your spine. So I'm still not on the spine. I'm going to be right next to it, kind of like putting your beach towel right next to the water, but you're not in the water. So from here, I'm going to find constructive rest pose. I'm going to lay on my back. And I'm going to roll away from the side that I'm going to do. So if I have a really tight, excruciating side, I'm going to save that for the next point. I'm not going to do it first, I'm going to do it last. Okay, so I have an excruciating side, I'm going to save it for the next side. Ball's going to go right above the hip bone, not on the spine. I'm going to come up and over, pin that ball, and then I'm going to bring my knee into my hand. From here, I'm sure you're already feeling some delicious, exquisite experiences there. This is way too much. Put a blanket over your ball. It'll lighten the pressure. This is like somebody's elbow into you, so you don't want to drill your tissues onto this. But to get closer to the multifidi, I'm going to, with that knee in, I'm going to roll towards the right. The ball's going to be on my right side, and my right knee is in. I'm going to roll towards that right side. And from there, I'm just going to stay sideways and just kind of back into the ball a little bit so it gets next to my spine. Not on my spine, next to it. Usually when I just roll right over to the right, it hits that spot that I'm talking about. You might have to negotiate, millimeter or so, but usually it's right on the money. And with other myofascial, we would do pin and stretch and cross fiber, but we are right next to the spine, and we don't want to do any kind of forceful movements by the spine. So we're just going to hydrate those tissues. And to be honest, those guys are so dehydrated that all they want is something to drink. That's all that they want. They want to just rest and drink something. They need a muscle organic Gatorade. And this is what we're giving them. The pressure is giving them some hydration because it's starting an alchemy in there to fire off these fibroblasts to come in and lay down some new collagen. And with that new collagen is going to come hydration. So then replenish that ground substance and try to get that suppleness back into the spine. Exhale your foot down. We're going to roll your body down a half of the ball space. So however big your ball is, you need to go half that space. So the ball's going to go up and your body's going to go down. Shoulders and hips have to move down kind of independently, not simultaneously. And then you'll bring the knee in. And same thing, I'm going to stay leaned over. If the ball's under my right side, I'm going to stay rolled over towards my right. I'm kind of indecisive whether I want to be on my back or on my side body in bed. That's the feeling. And just trying to soften into that area that the ball's around. All the muscles that are related to this area. Noticing if there's a lot of sensation there. Noticing where thoughts come up. Any emotions? Any buzzing or humming? Any muscle referrals? Where else do you feel this? And as you exhale, set your foot down. We're gonna roll down another little increment. A little half a ball space increment. And bring it in. And just so you know, the multifidi run all the way up and down your spine. And the first time my multifidi were palpated, it knocked the wind out of me. I was very shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I asked many questions at that point. And I was just blown away that nobody ever talks about the multifidi and any kind of workout culture, any kind of fitness. It's always about the erectors. You always hear about the erectors. And the multifidi is saved for, you know, physical therapists or acupuncturists, chiropractors, and when really we should be moving from that core support in our spine. We should be moving from there in a very sweet, gentle way, and not in a fight or flight kind of a way that this world really trains into us. One more spot. Exhale the foot down. Another half the ball space. Bring the knee in. So I like to trail this all the way up my spine, in case you're curious. Once I start to get towards the ribs, like right now we're leaning all the way over to that side that the ball is on, but once I get closer to the ribs, all of my weight pours onto the opposite side. And I very lightly, it's just the palm of someone's hand even, and heat behind it. It literally doesn't even have anything to do with pressure. It really has more to do with just that little feeling of heat that's created. That's all that you need. 2 more deep rounds of breath here, really trying to let go. When you lose the quality of sensation, you just bring the knee a little bit closer in towards the armpit. And then as you exhale, we'll set the foot down, roll off of the ball, and lay flat and just feel that difference between the two sides. And then check the time here. Right, sweet. Hope you're all doing well out there. So happy that you joined me. Every time I get on my multifidi, I get really happy. All right, so opposite side. So if you did your right side, you go on to your left side. If you do your left, you do your right. Finding just above the hip bone and not on the spine. I'm going to bring my knee in. And I'm going to roll balls under my left side. I'm going to roll towards the left. And just kind of back up into it, kind of like you're being spooned in bed. The ball is your spoon, right? So I'm spooning with the ball. I just kind of want to nuzzle right into it there and try to soften. I don't want to push. Imagine if you were spooning with somebody and you just kept pushing into them the whole time. I'm sure they would be really confused and not want to spoon with you anymore, right? So just think about softening into it, that I'm not trying to punish my tissues or tenderize them like a meat cleaver. I'm really trying to boost the efficiency and the resiliency of this system that controls and regulates many functions in the body. It's not just about tight muscles. Yeah, it's about my ability to feel tension in the room, my ability to be able to feel a tendon versus a ligament versus a muscle versus a nerve, right? Because all those things are so subtly different, you know? Like the difference is super subtle. It's a thin veil versus, you know, an ocean of difference that's like, oh, it's very obvious. These are the obvious differences. They're super subtle. Exhale the foot down and roll down a half of a ball space and bring the knee in. And that's the hardest part about nerves versus muscles. And I have been deliciously obsessed with my nervous system for the last couple of years, really since I've started my journey with yoga medicine. I've just been super nerding out about just the power of the nervous system, and I've healed. I had a bruised nerve, and I healed it in 6 weeks, which was really unheard of. Thoracic outlet syndrome on the right side. I'm still kind of dealing with that, but you would never know that I had it. And I recovered from that in like 8 weeks. And then I've had a bulging disc, old injury for over a decade now. I had no idea, and I carried 2 babies and didn't actually herniate it. So Yoga is a very powerful practice to just be aware of your body and how it moves and how it doesn't move. Exhale your foot down, rolling half a ball space up, and then bringing the knee in. I've always been one of those people, though, that when I'm not good at something, I'm like, yay, sweet, cross that off the list. One less thing for me to worry about. I don't really have this. I am an overachiever in the sense of, that I know that I can do things, but I'm not going to push myself to be good at something that clearly I'm not meant for. So if you're hard on yourself because your back bends aren't where you want them to be, be grateful that you have a healthy spine that doesn't have any bulging discs or spondylolisthesis or anything that really inhibits you from being able to move. Just be grateful that you have that health and that resiliency. You don't focus on what you don't have. Because again, you don't really need it, right? We don't really need it. Back bends especially are for psoas lengtheners. So if your psoas is really short, you're not going to be able to back bend. If it's really long, it's kind of gratuitous at that point. Exhale your foot down. One last spot. Inhale the knee in. So yeah, usually in my studio we do myofascial. It's a lot of things come up, a lot of healing of souls, a lot of great conversations. And I think of it like a sleepover because we're mostly laying on the ground, staring at the ceiling, talking about stuff. So it's so healing because it takes you back to being young in all the good ways. My teacher always says, I don't think anybody wants to go back to being 14 years old again, but there's little qualities like that, just that innocence of being able to share without feeling like someone's going to judge you or hold it against you or something. It's just something that needs to come out. And MyoFascial Release is just such a great opportunity for that. Any myofascial to me is little Native American journeys that you're going on, for real. So if you don't take it lightly, there's a lot of healing involved in it. Exhale your foot down, you're going to roll away from the ball. Remove the ball. And lay flat and feel that difference. I like to bring my knees in and rock side to side and just feel all that space back there. And I bet you're thinking, ooh, what I could fill that space with, right? Ooh, space, I could put stuff in it. Let's keep the space. And just kind of live with that spaciousness and don't feel the need to fill it with things that, again, we don't even need. We don't even use them. They're just there to look at, to turn into the setting. I promise you the biggest realization I've had since my house is burned is everything else is just there for no reason, I swear. Exhale over to the right and press yourself up. Let's get a feel for the length in the QL. You're going to need a block and maybe even a blanket. I'm going to take the blanket from blanket to Tadasana and I'm going to roll it up the short ways. I'm going to roll up the short ways. I call this a sushi roll. I'll put shrimp tempura, cucumber, avocado, whatever toppings that you want. It could be tempeh as well. So I'm going to take I'm going to mirror you, take my left leg in, my right leg out. I want contact with my left foot into my right leg. If I have tight hamstring, tight adductor going on this right leg, I'm going to do myself a favor and put a little sushi roll under that knee and then externally rotate that leg so that I'm eliminating this leg out of the deal because it's about the left side of my torso here getting some length. So don't be distracted by your right leg. Take a block and place it right next to that blanket, right next to the knee. For a placement for your elbow. So as you inhale, we're going to turn towards the left knee and we're going to shift weight into that left leg. So my right hip bone is off of the ground right now. And then as I exhale, I'm going to keep my torso open to the left as I glide my right hand down the right side. And I'm going to plant my elbow where it lands and then drop my head down. So again, if I'm feeling my right leg, I'm going to bend it however it needs to bend to take the feeling out of my right leg entirely. And then my left hand is going to go palm down with my fingers. I'm going to start to palpate my back muscles. I'm going to play some piano, massage those muscles back there. And try to get them to soften, right? They might be brick walls right now. That brick wall thing that we were talking about. Can they soften back into hair fibers? Can you get your back muscles to trust you so much that they soften? And again, it takes time. The girl is not going to trust you on date number 1. She's not even going to trust you if she's an intelligent woman that you want in your life. She's not even going to trust you on date number 10. So it's going to take some time. And basically what you need to know is that this is the one. There is no other one for you in this world but this girl. So you got to take your time and you got to do it right, because you're going to pay the price, and that price could last 6 months. It could last 6 years, right? People have injuries and they come back every 10 years. But if I treat it with respect, then I might get something more out of it, right? I might get my nervous system to work with me here, not against me. Float that left arm up and exhale, lateral stretch. I'm going to drape the arm across my head and continue to soften into that left side. But can you engage and lift the left shoulder, the shoulder blade up towards the ceiling so your rib cage goes with it? And all of a sudden you have a lengthening up and out of the pelvis, and no longer just this dumping towards the right. But I want to grow up and out, lifting the left side of my ribs up towards the ceiling, and then dropping my hip bones, letting gravity ground them down towards the ground. Take 2 more breaths here. Come out whenever you need to. I'm not trying to move into any pain or strain. I'm not trying to agitate something that's already potentially agitated. And then as you exhale, we're going to round out this first one. I'm going to remove my block and remove my blanket. And then plant my left hand behind my left sit bone, about 6 inches away, fingertips facing away from you. As you inhale, push down through your left leg, point down through the right toes as you come up and do one whole circle across your back with your right shoulder blade. And then as you exhale, we're going to come back down. We're going to flow through that very sweetly for 3 rounds there. So inhale that left arm up. Exhale, lateral stretch to your right. Don't dump, lift the left side of your ribs. Inhale, come back up, let both hands come up. Exhale, bring that left hand down. And inhale, lift the whole torso up, sweeping the shoulder blade across the back. Move sweetly. We're just trying to see what we've done here in the last hour. Exhale, set it back down. Inhale, left arm sweeps up. Exhale, lateral stretch, rotating the torso to the left, dropping the left hip bone down. Inhale, both arms come up. Exhale, left hand down. Inhale, lifting up, sweeping that whole shoulder blade across your back. Exhale, lowers you back down. Just one more. Inhale, left arm sweeps up. Exhale, lateral stretch to your right. Inhale, come on back up, both arms come up. Exhale, left arm behind you. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come on back down. Lovely. All right, we're gonna switch here, but we're gonna take a mobility switch. You'll thank me for this later. So we're gonna take our feet about this wide, wider than shoulder width apart. And we're gonna take our legs over to the right. So this is where we just were. And then inhale, we're gonna come back up. So use your hands if you need to. If you're really strong, you use no hands. Exhale, taking your legs over to the left. Strong as in your hips, yeah? Inhale, back up, one more round on each side. Exhale, legs go over to the right. Inhale, back up. Exhale, legs go over to the left. Inhale, back up. Let the legs straighten, and we're gonna bring the right leg in and the left leg out. All that hip mobility looks, when there's no WD-40 in the hips, it's like, it's much easier to watch people do it than to do it. Right foot pushing into your left thigh. So you want that engagement with the two connecting there. And then as I exhale, I'm gonna turn towards that right knee, shifting all of my weight into that right kneecap. And I forgot to cue for your blanket roll and your block. So I can't really see on my phone if anybody set it up, but there it is, reminder. All right, facing the right knee. As you exhale, we're gonna keep facing the right knee. We're just gonna lengthen that left arm down the left leg. Bending the elbow, dropping the head anywhere that the side body wants to be. I don't want to yank on my right side body. I want to honor where I feel my skin tugging and where I feel my muscle tugging. And what I want you to do is stay where the skin is tugging, not where the muscle is tugging. Right, this is a good rule of thumb just for connective tissue in general. If I can feel my skin, I'm working with my tension system. And if I'm feeling muscle, now I'm going past my edge and I'm yanking on tissues. And the nervous system is going to respond to that by contracting your muscles. So just be aware, it's so, so subtle. If you get in there, it's so powerful. Fingertips massaging if you're not already. Trying to soften, trying to eliminate the left leg out of the equation so that I just have access in my awareness and in my sensations on the right side QL. And just kind of feeling what laying on that ball did for me, especially if you came here with back issues. I'm sure you feel a difference by now. It's pretty amazing how you need very little to make a difference. And in case you're curious, on my bulging disc, I found out about it 2 weeks ago yesterday. And I had sciatica full blown because my disc had, had reopened, and so it hit my nerve again. Inhale that right arm up and sweep it across your ear, draping it for a passive stretch. And yeah, all I've been doing is a side body stretch on the opposite side, taking my spine back to where it's supposed to be. So much like treatment for scoliosis, if you're familiar with that, just directing the spine back in the direction it needs to be in. And just that difference in 2 weeks, my sciatica it's got about 3% left in my sciatica. And that's amazing because usually it takes months and months for discs to scar over and for your nerve not to be, gooed on, a little goo hitting it. So I'm very, very happy, always surprised and not surprised at the power of yoga and its ability to, again, calibrate the nervous system, and the nervous system calibrates the whole body. So simple, but simple doesn't mean that it's easy, and the catch here is that you have to do it. Exhale, we're gonna round out. We're gonna remove props, so we're free hand. Right hand's gonna find its way behind your right sit bone, fingers facing away from you. Inhale, point down through your left toes, push down through your right knee as you make one sweeping circle across your back with that shoulder blade, and then exhale, come on back down. All right, 3 rounds of that. Inhale that right arm up, face that arm. Exhale, continue to face that arm as you lateral stretch so the torso gets some guidance here. Inhale, come upright, bring your left arm up as well. Exhale, right arm down. Inhale, lifts everything up. Push down through your strong hips here. You make one sweeping circle across your back. Exhale, brings you back down. Move slow and easefully. Inhale, right arm sweeps up. Exhale, lateral stretch. Goldilocks, right? Not too slow, but not too fast. Inhale, come on back up. And who knows these things? Only you knows these things. Right hand down. Inhale, sweep yourself up. That's your job, is to know these things about your body. Exhale, coming back down. Last one. Inhale, right arm sweeps up. Exhale, lateral stretch. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, right hand down, left arm up. Inhale, lifting up. One whole circle across your back. Exhale, coming down. All right, one more round for good measure. Take your feet out wider than shoulder width apart. And we'll break it down a little bit more this time. So hands down by your side. Take your right leg, and we're gonna take it all the way down and try to keep this left leg lifting in the opposite direction. So you feel that left hip firing off. And then we're slowly gonna bring it in towards the right. Inhale, just the left leg is gonna open up. Just the left leg, open, open, open. And then we're gonna start to ground the right leg down as we try to keep the left leg down as we try to keep the right leg open. And then once we can't hold it anymore, then we're gonna take that right leg and set it down. One more round just like that. Inhale, the right leg comes up, left leg is still grounded. Once I start to feel that battle, I'm gonna start to let that transition happen. Right leg's gonna come down, but I'm still gonna be opening up through my left hip. Once that right knee touches down, then I'll take the left leg in and down. One more of those. Inhale, left leg opens. Use those hips. It's like reverse thigh blasters. And then I'm gonna start to ground the left leg down. The right leg's gonna come up, but I'm still reaching them away from each other. And then exhale, taking your leg down. So at some point during these movements, you're gonna feel like your legs have resistance bands on them. Is the feeling there? Inhale, both legs come back up, and we'll meet on our backs. Bring the knees in. Straighten the left leg and bring the right knee in and just cross it over your chest. Twist. Letting it go. Dropping into Shavasana here. Getting ready for a Shavasana. Feeling a difference in your back. Letting go of whatever's churning around in the head. Letting go, trying to control it, really. It's not going to go anywhere, but we can kind of drift back from it. Inhale, back up. Straighten the right leg. Inhale, left knee comes in. Grab it with the right hand. Exhale. Twist that left leg over to your right. Left arm open like a T, if that's okay. And you stretch for your pecs. Noticing anything that comes up. But trying to come back to the moment, to how you feel, to softening the body. And inhale back up. And find a comfortable position for Shavasana. I have a little guided meditation for you. So if you'd like to sit up for, more of a legitimate meditation, the only thing that makes it legitimate is that there's nothing touching your spine, which houses that central nervous system. MyoFascial yoga and the nervous system go so well together. So find a seat or just stay in your comfortable Shavasana here. You can meditate from either position. There's no right or wrong. I'm going to do one of my favorite meditations. It's an ancient meditation from Egypt, actually. It's a really great, simple meditation, but so powerful. So with your eyes closed and relaxed, just draw attention to your breath, and hopefully you're breathing in and out through your belly. And think about 3 fingers below your belly button, breathing really deep. But the breath flows in and out through this point. And start to visualize the word love in your mind's eye. Behind your closed eyes, imagining the word love. Maybe it's on a Post-it note, maybe it's in your handwriting, maybe it's in a marquee board. But just visualize love. And if you could see the word love, then you can see without eyes. My physical eyes are closed, yet I can see love clearly with my internal eyes. The same vision that I can see my past, the same vision I can see my future. And then you're gonna read this word out loud to yourself in your mind. Right? So out loud to yourself in your mind, you're gonna say love. Just say it in your mind's eye like 10 times. And if you can hear yourself saying love, whose voice is that? Whose voice is that? That speaks without lips, sees without eyes. And then you heard yourself saying love. No vibration of sound was made, yet you can hear yourself saying love. So you can see without eyes, you can hear without ears, and you can speak without lips. So what happens when this physical body drops away? All I am left with are my essence's set of senses, my ability to see without eyes, to hear without ears, to speak without lips, to smell without a nose. So much like when I get out of my vehicle, when I get to the yoga studio, I don't have a nervous breakdown when I get out of my car. I go, I'm not my vehicle? Oh my God, I'm not my vehicle? I thought I was my vehicle. I thought like literally I was that. remembering that you have an extra set of senses that exist without this physical body, and this is an ancient meditation. And if you heard with your own ears and saw with your own internal eyes, and no one can take this truth away from you. Bringing it all back to gratitude, coming back to your breath. And if I could convey gratitude through the quality of my breath, what would my breath feel like and sound like? How long would it be? What texture would it have? Conveying gratitude through the quality of my breath as I start to deepen my breath in my body. Sending gratitude into every corner of my body. And when I'm ready, I start to wiggle through my fingers and my toes, expressing gratitude, taking it from my breath into manifestation through the moving of my physical body. I'll start to roll through my ankles and my wrists. I'll start to stretch through my arms and my legs, moving in any way that feels good. Always looking to feel neutral, feel like Switzerland. And when you feel ready, you'll roll over to that right-hand side. Press yourself up into an easy sitting pose, your Sukhasana. Sitting on something so your hips are above your knees. Feeling all the space between the ribs and the pelvis. Feeling that you're sitting evenly through both sit bones. Noticing how this affects your shoulders, your hips. And we'll take an inhalation here together. And we'll exhale the hands down by the sides, palms up. Inhale to float those arms up to the sky. Exhale the hands down to heart center, sealing our practice in gratitude. Unifying our energies, giving gratitude to ourselves that we took the time to be here. Gratitude for all the people that joined us virtually. And gratitude for the practice of yoga itself, 5,000 years and counting. And we get to be a little part of this. And in this place of gratitude, may we have openness of heart, clarity of minds, deeper breaths, and grateful bodies. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your support so much. Just being here fills me with joy. So thank you so much. Namaste.